All right, it's Toby from Heavyweight MMA. Today with Romel Luistro of Luistro Combat Academy, currently head trainer of UFC fighters, Cody, Haddon and Quillan, Salkilld. How are you, brother?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good, man. Must be happy days at the Luistro Combat Academy, man. You've got a couple of guys into the big game, the big UFC show.
Yeah, I'm very happy. Very proud of what the boys have achieved. You know, since day one, this is what we've been working for. And, you know, it's like whatever sport you play, you want to be in the pinnacle of the sport. And thankfully, we've made it. Well, you know, we got to the big show, but, you know, the goal is to do well in the big show, not just get to the big show. So here we go.
Man, it's kind of interesting how all of a sudden Perth seems to be the hot spot for UFC talent in Australia. We've got a couple of guys like Stephen Erceg and what's his name, Jack Della, running over there, doing really well. Yeah. And now you got a couple more Perth lads in the show.
Yeah, I think the bonus of being in Perth is there's nothing to do, so all we can do is train. We've got nice beaches, and I love the lifestyle here. But I think that's our advantage. There's no nightlife. There's nothing exciting apart from going to the gym every day, and you know that's what we love to do. So there's no distractions. Like when we're in Vegas and the boys fought guys from California and wherever else, you look at their Instagram and they've got like cool parties and cool things to go to, whereas we've got none of that. It's just, you know, we'll go to the beach and go for a barbecue, and that's just recovery time. There's no cool things. But I do love Perth, though. I love it because of that.
Yeah, bro. No, it's a beautiful place. I just came over for the last UFC event, actually. I'd never been there before. It's not bad. One thing that stuck out in my mind was the quality of the steak, brother, was so good because I'm overseas and I've been eating steak in nice restaurants, but the steak in Perth is something special.
Yeah, no, we've got, we do have good fresh produce over here. So, veggies and meat is good over here. So, yeah, we're lucky.
Yeah, man. Hey, your team, just from an outsider's view, man, your team seems very, tight, man. You guys all seem very happy, and it's sort of is it a, family environment? It seems that way, right? You and the boys, and I see Jasmine Frank, MMA manager, photographer, and matchmaker also in the mix.
Yeah, no, we've got a very good crew, and, everyone in the gym is very nice. It's a small gym, so we can be very picky. You know, I can turn guys away. I don't have to worry about overheads. So we just pick whoever wants to be here, you know. And the guys, you know, they've been with us since day one and they've stuck by us. And Jazz is also great at what she does. So we just build a good team. It's just we've got a lot of Islanders in the gym. That also brings a good family vibe. We've got lots of kids. So the kids together training, you know, they train before the adults. And if you see how hard the kids train, that inspires the adults because you're like, well, you can't slack off. Look how hard the kids are training. You know, we got to match what the kids do. So it just creates a good vibe, good energy, you know. And that's what I'm about. I'm always about good, positive energy. Anything negative, I'm like, F that off. Like, we just want positive energy in here. And that's the only way we can grow is just, you know, like I said, there's going to be a lot of guys that will hate on you that aren't in the gym. So we can't have any kind of clique or anything in the gym. It's like, we're just one team, shit about it, anyone. It's just like, let's all just build each other up, you know?
Yeah, man, it sounds like you created a super positive environment. That's good, man. Hey, I can see your details, BJJ black belt under Tsunami Jiu-Jitsu, but there's not much around about your background and how you kicked off into everything, bro. Like, can you explain how you got into martial arts and your little journey to being a trainer now?
Well, I started when I was 9 years old. I actually started off in kickboxing. So I did European-style kickboxing, which is where you wear the long pants, no low kicks. So it's all above-the-waist kicks, and you wear, no shin pads, but you wear the moon boots. So it's more like point-scoring style kickboxing. I started off in that when I was 9, and then I saw the UFC, and I saw BJ Penn killing everyone. I did Japanese jiu-jitsu. And then I thought, hey, I'd do jiu-jitsu too. I can do this stuff. But obviously I went to find a BJJ gym. I found a gym in London. So I was born and raised there. I went to Carlson Gracie, London, and then started training jiu-jitsu there, like Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And then I met my mate Dennis Kelly, who's over in Melbourne now. He's got his gym there, DK MMA. He was my housemate. And then Dennis used to tell me, like, hey, bro, you want to do this? It wasn't even called MMA back then. It was Vale Tudo or cage fighting because it wasn't even a sport. So he was like, do you want to do this? And I'm like, yeah, I want to do it, bro. And he's like, well, you got to do wrestling. And I'm like, what? Like WWF, you know? And he was like, no, like wrestling, like Olympic wrestling. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? And he's like, no, it's like, he's like, just come with me. So I went with him, started doing wrestling as well. And then, I was always training in the gi. And then he was like, hey, let's take the gi off and we do rolls with punches. And I'm like, all right, cool. And then I just got smashed. And I'm like, oh, man, this is a completely different game. So thanks to guys like Dennis, he had a good, foresight into how you could train MMA. So I just kind of did what he said to do. And then when I moved to Perth, fortunately, I met Brian and then continued my MMA journey with Brian. So I had a few competitions in the UK, the KSBO and all that other stuff, just all amateur kind of style MMA. And then moved over to Perth and competed under Brian. And then I was lucky to train under Brian because luckily I was at Carlson Gracie because Carlson Gracie had the ethos of top game smash. So that was always in my mind, top game smash, don't be on the bottom. And then when I met Brian and then we were doing MMA, it's the same thing. Except I would still go for submissions. And Brian's like, why are you doing submissions? He's like, don't worry about that. Just stay on top and smash. So, yeah, just learning from good coaches. And, I was fortunate enough to be around some good names at the time.
It's something to consider too, right? Like I've trained with a few different jiu-jitsu guys, man, and when people are right into this playing guard and on the back, complicated guards and that, it doesn't necessarily translate too well to MMA or to street fighting, you would say. You know, some different games really translate well when it's an aggressive top game, right? It's so different.
Yeah, I think so. Like just even having athleticism, like people like to do jiu-jitsu, but then I find some people that do jiu-jitsu like to hide behind their belts. Because they're a purple belt or whatever, they think that they can handle themselves. But reality is, you're good on the mats in jiu-jitsu, but in a real fight, there's guys that can just scrap and are athletic, you know? So, they might be a white belt, but they know just enough. Like jiu-jitsu basically relies on people making mistakes. You capitalize on their mistakes. If someone's got a bit of knowledge and they're not making those mistakes and they're physical, then it gets very difficult to pull off the jiu-jitsu moves. So, I find, but if you're on top though, you can just smash all day. But not that we neglect the guard, we still practice that. But when we're doing jiu-jitsu, we're always in the mindset that people are trying to get up as well. Because a lot of times, if you just train strictly jiu-jitsu at a jiu-jitsu gym, the guys are playing guard. They're willingly being on their back. Whereas in a MMA situation, guys aren't just going to stay there. They're going to try and kick you and try and get back up. So then you've got to learn how to really control people. So again, it changes the dynamics of your jiu-jitsu. But like the way we train, we're always geared towards MMA. So even when we're doing jiu-jitsu, it's always, we're not the most technical leg lockers, but we do have some really good leg lockers in the gym that can push us in those boundaries, in those areas. But everything we're doing is always geared towards MMA.
Yeah, man, and I think it makes a difference. Like I've trained, like I said, training with different people. For me, I personally like the jiu-jitsu coach that has like a real combat in mind when they're teaching, because it can just be a fun chess game, right? It can just be. That's what jiu-jitsu can be, a little fun pastime where you're doing that. But some people like myself want to learn it to be able to actually defend yourself and deal with a combat situation with high energies and etc. So if you've got that in mind, thinking about real fighting, it actually helps some people, like I like it better anyway when it's more combat based,
Yeah, no, 100%. Like I'm old school. So, I started jiu-jitsu 2002. So for me, when I learned jiu-jitsu, it was about self-defense. Back then, when the people that were learning jiu-jitsu were at that gym, Carlson Gracie in London, it was always bound other black belts in martial arts, but they all did jiu-jitsu because they had cage fighting at the time. That's what it was called. That was what was the goal, or that was what was in mind. So no one did jiu-jitsu to, expose their butt and do a berimbolo and score whatever points. Everyone was doing it to just basically get ready for a fight. And then John Wanu, who I got my black belt from, he's under the same mindset. He was Carlson's first student in the US. And his mindset when he comes over here to visit us and he teaches, it's very, very basic, self-defense orientated. And I love that. That's what I believe, that's why we all started martial arts in the first place, was to be able to defend ourselves. So I do like doing jiu-jitsu and having the realism of what it was actually made for.
Yeah. On that note, do you actually teach that like a self-defense component? Because a lot of gyms don't do that anymore, right?
Yeah, I don't exactly have a self-defense component, but when I do teach, I always teach. I'll go, all right, guys, if you guys do jiu-jitsu in this position, you can do this. But then you guys doing MMA, just got to be aware that if you do that, you might be exposed to punches. So I try and cover everyone. So, but I just show the reality of the position. So I'm not going to, I'll never show inversions. And even if I have done an inversion or a boloed someone, I'm like, don't tell anyone I did that. It's embarrassing.
Fair enough, man. That's cool. Man, I wanted to talk about, you've just been on these couple of trips. You've taken the boys over to Vegas. It's 3 times now you've been over recently, right, this year. How's that been? Has it been good to travel with the boys for a competition? How does that differ from like fighting in Eternal, etc.?
I tell the boys it's the same thing. It's just a different canvas, different location. Because essentially that's what it is. You guys, those boys or all the fighters, they all get in the cage. They all go through the same process, the same thoughts. The thing is, it's all smokes and mirrors. The UFC is great, and I love them as an organization, and they do all the marketing and all that. But that's what it is. You get more of a platform because you get more exposure. But at the end of the day, like I told Quillan and Cody, you guys are doing what you would do in Perth, in Melbourne. No matter where we go, it's the same thing. It's just a different location, different canvas. The only thing is to adjust to the time difference with the travel. Obviously, the travel takes it out of you, traveling 18 hours, 24 hours or whatever. That is a bit tiring. So we do try and get there a week in advance to try and settle into the time zones and everything. But essentially, I tell them it's just what we do anyway.
Man, it must be satisfying to take the boys over there and see them do so well. It really just shows that what you're teaching at the gym is working, right? It's all working well.
Yeah, I am very proud of that. These boys, they put the work in, and to see them get the results and for them to achieve their dreams, that's you can't put a price on that. I've spoke with one of my good friends, also a black belt at the gym, Goran. He's one of my main training partners, great guy. We talk about that all the time. It's what other people have got, they've got big gyms, they're driving nice cars and all that stuff. And, here I got my small gym, I drive my little Corolla, I don't give a fuck. But no one can put a price on what I feel when the boys compete. When they win their fights, when they win their belts and they've done all that stuff, now that they're in the UFC, when they win, you can't put a price on that feeling that I've got. And none of the coaches can compete with what I've felt. You might have all the flash stuff, but I've got this here, that memory, those feelings, it can't be bought, it can't be replicated. And I'm very proud of what the boys have achieved.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, bro. And you never know, man. They might get up and take the title. They might be able to upgrade your Corolla to a Ferrari or a Tesla or something, brother.
I told the boys we got to keep driving the cars that we're driving. We've got to stay grounded, got to stay humble. That's why I tell them, this is, we haven't made it. I keep saying that we're there, but we haven't made it. We want the gold, so we just got to keep our feet grounded. And no matter what happens, there's going to be, everyone's going to pump these guys up. You're this, you're that. Nah, F that. Mindset is we're still, every fight is important. We got to make our way there to the top. So we got to stay humble, stay grounded, and just keep working. I told the boys, do what you did to get to the dance, keep doing it. Because a lot of guys, they do all this stuff, they get to the big show, and then they start changing their routine. But it's no, don't change the routine. Do what you did to get there. People will get, they'll start to bring in their own pad man and do their own thing, stop doing the classes, kind of do their own training. And it's the minute you do that, you're lost. You got to keep doing what you did. You got to still keep coming to classes. That's what makes me real proud of the boys like Quillan and Cody, is that they're still in here. They're still holding pads for people. They're still the same people. They're still doing the drills. And I never do anything. I run similar classes all the time because I like to re-drill, drill. And never have Cody or Quill ever once complained. These guys are in the UFC. They've never complained to me like, oh, are we doing this again? Because they know that this is the foundation. If you lay the solid foundation, whatever happens, you're going to be safe in the fight. But you need to have those fundamentals. I always tell them, martial arts is like driving. When you learn to drive, you have to think gear 1, gear 2, what I'm approaching a roundabout, what gear do I put the car in? But when you know how to drive, you just you can just talk and you don't even need to think about what gear to put the car in because you've done it so many times. And I say it's the same when you've drilled it so many times, you just go. But if you have to think, it's too late. The guy's already on your back. He's already doing something. You just want to have it like right there in your Rolodex. And also I tell the guys, they train every day. Even if you're tired, you feel fucked, you turn up, because there's going to be days you go to fight and you don't feel the best. But if you've trained that way every time, I tell them you've got to be the best in the world on your worst day. Like Quill's last fight, we weren't happy because me and Quill know that wasn't him at his best. That was him at 60%. So you can even see on our faces after the fight, we were fully disappointed because on that day he just didn't click. But he still put on a great performance and still got a contract, still got Dana out of his seat. And that's what I tell the boys. Be the best in the world on your worst day. That's what we train for. So even if you feel tired, you don't want to train, hey, everyone's going to feel that way. And there's going to be days that you don't get the full sleep at the hotel that you stayed at or whatever, but you still got to turn up and perform. So it's the same. You still got to turn up and train. So you're always, it's familiar. Nothing's going to be out of pocket like, oh, shit, I've never felt like this. Hey, you felt like this, and we work through it. We go again.
Yeah, bro. And I saw one of your posts that had guys throwing combinations in the gym and then using it in the fight. So that's the example of exactly what you're saying. I heard you say that shit is drilled when he threw a knockdown shot. I think Cody threw a knockdown shot. And it was exactly what you'd been working on in the pads, right? Yeah.
Well, when I see who the guys are fighting, I come up with an idea. We discuss, me and the boys, we'll both analyze the tapes. Cody, not so much. Cody likes me to do all that, and he likes to he doesn't like to overthink because that guy, he can't sit still. So he'll want to start drilling. So he leaves it to me, but myself and Quill, we might message each other, hey, this is what I saw, what do you think? And then he'll tell me what he thinks, and then we'll come up with a plan because, for instance, we saw Blake Donnelly when Quill fought him. He does a lot of things off the jab. So we drilled heaps of jab counters. And then, thankfully, Quill pulled off one of the cleanest jab counters we've seen. But every fight is like that. But we never really game plan because at the end of the day, something can go wrong with the game plan, then you're stuck. But if you're just good and well-rounded everywhere and you just take the fight, like we've got plans, okay, we want to establish this, and if that doesn't work, then we're going to go to this. But there's no set game plan of like, well, we're just going to work the low kick, chop his leg, because that might not happen. So we just got little ideas of what we're going to, what we plan to execute, and then we try and execute. But thankfully, the boys are very good. Like we drill a lot. The boys do 7 days a week. So we don't really have days off. We still come to the gym on a Sunday, and Sunday's light drilling.
Yeah, man. And jumping to the boys, man. So Cody had a fight on UFC October 12th against Dan Argueta. What was your take on this performance? And looked pretty brilliant to me, man.
I thought it was great. Especially against Dan, a guy like that can make a fight very ugly just by holding you, pinning you. And if you watched his previous fights, he's dominated a lot of guys, and then he gets caught or something. But he's a dominator when he's out there on the mat. But at no point in time did he dominate Cody. He had a 1 minute exact of control in round 2. I timed it. It was 1 minute exact. And that was when Cody fell off the back. He did a good job of defending and putting Cody in front of him. But, Cody looked good against a so I was very happy with that performance. In hindsight, you think, oh, maybe we should have said do this or do that. But we'll never know. Like I was telling Cody, use your jab because he's going to shoot, and then line him up with a knee or an uppercut. And he hit him with a couple of things. But then I was thinking back, maybe if I told him, hit him with the jab, he's going to come, take a half step back and then combo up again. Maybe that would have worked. So looking back, I always look, what could we have done better? But at the same time, it might have given him space to create momentum with the takedown. So I guess we'll never know. But again, like I'm always looking of what we could do better. Like it was a great performance, and I'm happy with it because it got to show that Cody can defend takedowns. Because everyone's always worried about, or not always questioning Australians' ability to wrestle. But it's like maybe 10 years ago, but we wrestle over here. My coach Brian Ebersol was a D1 college wrestler. I spent 4 years with him daily on the mats, learning all his drills, drilling with him. And now the boys have been doing that for the last, 4-6 years with me or whatever, So it's not like we don't know how to wrestle. We've been putting time in as well.
Yeah.
And obviously Australian Jiu-Jitsu is very up there,
Yeah.
Sorry?
So I was just going to say it was also a good test for him against a tough opponent. Like you could go, if he went out there and smoked someone in the first round, he wouldn't have as good a grounding as now he has, and he's had a good entry into UFC with a tough fight. It'll make the next ones easier, especially if it gets to deeper waters like that.
Yeah, 100%. That's what I thought as well. I thought, he could have gone out there, blown him away in one round, and then people would just say, oh yeah, he's a one-trick pony, he's just got power, whatever. But the thing is, he showed that he's got the cardio to go 3. He can stuff takedowns, and everyone knows that he can box. So now they have to find the holes in where they can take it because he out-cardioed the cardio guy. He also got the takedown on Dan, so it's not like he just anti-wrestled. He can use wrestling actively as well. Like I tell the guys, you've got to be able to weaponize everything. The problem is a lot of guys, they want to work wrestling, but I only want to use wrestling to defend the takedown because my main game is to strike. But you can't do that because what happens if you get rocked and now you can't use your wrestling offensively? Now you're just stuck in no man's land. So the boys are working every day to weaponize everything. Jiu-jitsu becomes a weapon. Wrestling is a weapon. Striking is a weapon. Cardio is a weapon. So every day, weaponize everything.
Yeah, that's good, man. And Quillan Salkilld, man, he's got an up-and-coming UFC debut on February 8th against Anshul Jubli. I had a little look at the guy after I saw that announcement. What are your thoughts on him as an opponent?
I think he's good. He's very technically good. He's trained by my mate Mike at Soma, so I know he's going to be well prepared because Mike is a great trainer. It's a great gym, so we respect them, and we're just going to make sure that we come ready because I know that he's going to be looking for redemption coming off that loss. He looked great as well, though, in that loss. The third round, he just looked like he got spooked. But obviously he would have done some mental preparation for that now and be prepared. But I think, once Quill starts cracking, it's hometown advantage as well. I just don't see I know how prepared we are going to be. So I think it's going to be a great fight. And I love Mike and I love Soma. Shout out to them as well. But I just know that we're coming in hot. We're coming. Quill wants to make a statement in his debut. Him and Cody got this banter between them. So, Quill's going to be looking to put on a performance. And both boys, hopefully Cody gets on too because, everyone wants to get paid. Let's get those bonus checks. Let's performance of the night, knockout of the night, sub of the night, whatever it is. The boys need to get paid.
Yeah,
so
man.
I can update my car.
That's it, bro. That's it, bro. Keep them grounded, but you don't need to stay as grounded, brother, Yeah, man. Anyway, man, thanks so much for your time. Very happy to see the success of your boys and your gym and happy to have some new Australian UFC guys to follow. And, wish you success in that next fight.
Thank you very much, man. Thanks so much for the love. And,
cool.
hopefully we can do the Anzacs proud,
That's it, man. Cool.
We're ready to show out. We're going to be ready on that date. So February 9, we're coming to bring it. All right. Thanks.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thanks, bro. Cheers.